The glass towers of Cross Dynamics pierced the Seattle skyline like crystal spears reaching toward heaven. On the 42nd floor, Damien Cross stood behind his mahogany desk, his steel-gray eyes scanning quarterly reports with the intensity of a hawk studying its prey. At 28, he commanded a tech empire worth billions, yet his expression remained as cold and distant as the winter rain streaking down his office windows. Damien had built his company from nothing, transforming a small software startup into a global powerhouse that revolutionized cloud computing. His employees respected him, his competitors feared him, and the media called him the most eligible bachelor in America. None of that mattered to him. Success was measured in numbers, not emotions. His assistant knocked softly on the door. "Mr. Cross, the board meeting starts in 10 minutes. Send them my apologies," Damien replied without looking up. "Reschedule. For tomorrow, I need to review these projections first." He gathered his files and strode toward what he thought was the conference room. His mind buzzed with acquisition strategies and market forecasts. The company was expanding into artificial intelligence, and every decision could make or break their future dominance. Without bothering to knock, Damien pushed open the door and stepped inside. "Where are the revenue reports for the AI division?" he demanded, his voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to immediate compliance. Silence greeted him. He looked up from his papers to find himself in the wrong room entirely. Sitting at a small desk by the window was a young woman with auburn hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She wore a modest navy blazer that had seen better days, and her fingers flew across an old laptop keyboard with practiced efficiency. Stacks of carefully organized documents surrounded her workspace like fortress walls. The woman's honey-colored eyes widened in surprise as she recognized him. She quickly stood, nearly knocking over her coffee mug in the process. "Mr. Cross? I'm so sorry. You must be looking for the executive conference room. It's 3 doors down the hall." Damien found himself momentarily speechless. In 3 years of running this company, he had never really noticed the administrative staff. They were invisible to him, part of the background machinery that kept his empire running. But something about this woman's genuine warmth and obvious embarrassment made him pause. "And you are?" he asked, his tone softer than usual. "Olivia Reed, sir. I work in the administrative department." She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear nervously. "I handle document processing and filing for multiple departments." "How long have you worked here, Olivia?" 2 years, Mr. Cross." She seemed surprised that he was asking personal questions. Most executives barely acknowledged her existence. Damien noticed the worn edges of her blazer, the careful way she organized her modest workspace, and the thermos of homemade coffee instead of the expensive espresso machine in the break room. Everything about her spoke of someone making the most of limited resources. "What exactly do you do here?" he found himself asking, genuinely curious for the first time in months. Olivia hesitated, clearly wondering if this was some kind of test. "I process contracts, organize project documentation, coordinate between departments, and ensure all paperwork meets compliance standards. I also help with research when needed." "Research? Sir, is a degree in business administration, though I couldn't afford to finish my master's program." She bit her lip, realizing she might have shared too much personal information. "I sometimes notice patterns in the data that might be useful." Damien stepped closer to her desk, intrigued. The documents she was working on caught his attention. They were related to the company's latest acquisition, a small AI startup that had been underperforming. "What kind of patterns?" he asked. Olivia glanced at the papers, then back at him uncertainly. "Well, I probably shouldn't say anything. I'm just an administrative assistant. I'm asking you to say something." She took a deep breath. "The Nexus AI acquisition. Everyone's focused on their algorithm development, but I've been processing their financial records for integration. Their biggest asset isn't their current technology." "Go on." "They have patent applications for neural network architectures that won't mature for another 2 years. But when they do, they'll be revolutionary. The problem is, their current team doesn't seem to understand what they have." Damien leaned against her desk, studying her face intently. "What makes you think that?" "I've been reading their research notes while digitizing them. The language they use suggests they're pursuing short-term applications instead of recognizing the long-term potential. With the right guidance, those patents could be worth 10 times what we paid for the company. Her analysis was brilliant. Damien had been considering selling off Nexus AI as a failed investment, but Olivia's insight completely changed the equation.
Yes.
She had seen something that his entire team of executives and analysts had missed. As you shared this observation? With anyone else? No, sir. It wasn't my place. I just processed the documents. Olivia, what you just told me could save this company millions of dollars and position us as leaders in next-generation AI development. She blushed deeply. I was just doing my job, Mr. Cross. No, you were doing much more than your job. He straightened, his mind already racing with possibilities. Tell me about yourself. What are your career goals? The question seemed to surprise her, honestly. I've always dreamed of working in strategic planning or business development. Positions like that require connections and opportunities I don't have access to. What's stopping you from pursuing those opportunities? Olivia's expression grew serious. My grandmother raised me after my parents died in a car accident when I was 12. She's been everything to me, but now she has dementia and needs constant care. The medical bills are overwhelming, and I can't afford to take risks with my career. I need stable income and health insurance. Damien felt something stir in his chest, an unfamiliar emotion he couldn't quite identify. He had grown up with every advantage money could provide. But this woman was fighting for her dreams while shouldering responsibilities he had never imagined. We share a small apartment in Capitol Hill. It's not much, but it's close to her doctors and the adult daycare center where she goes when I'm at work. It must be difficult, managing full-time work and caregiving. Some days are harder than others, Olivia admitted. But she sacrificed everything to raise me. Now it's my turn to take care of her. Damien found himself genuinely moved by her loyalty and strength. In his world of corporate ambition and cutthroat competition, countering someone with such genuine character was like finding a rare jewel. Olivia, I'd like to make you an offer. Her eyes widened nervously, sir. I want you to join my strategic planning team as a junior analyst. Position comes with a significant salary increase and premium health insurance that would cover your grandmother's care. She stared at him in shock. Mr. Cross, I don't understand. You barely know me. I know enough. You have analytical skills that my expensive consultants missed. You're loyal, hardworking, and you see opportunities where others see problems. Those are exactly the qualities I need on my team, but I don't have an MBA or the right background. For executive-level work, experience and intelligence matter more than credentials, Damien said firmly. I'm offering you a chance to prove yourself. The question is, are you brave enough to take it? Olivia was quiet for a long moment, clearly wrestling with the magnitude of what he was offering. Finally, she met his gaze with newfound determination. Yes, Mr. Cross, I accept your offer. Good report to my office Monday morning at 8. Sharp. We'll start with the Nexus AI project. As Damien turned to leave, he paused at the door. Olivia? Yes, sir. Call me Damien. We'll be working closely together. After he left, Olivia sank back into her chair, her heart racing. She couldn't believe what had just happened. In the span of 20 minutes, her entire life had changed. But as excitement gave way to nervousness, she wondered if she was truly ready for this opportunity, or if she had just made the biggest mistake of her life. What she didn't know was that Damien was asking himself the same question. For the first time in years, he found himself thinking about something other than profit margins and market dominance. He was thinking about a woman with honey-colored eyes and a heart big enough to care for both her dreams and her family. Neither of them realized that their accidental meeting had set in motion a love story that would challenge everything they thought they knew about success, sacrifice, and the courage to follow your heart. Monday morning arrived with Seattle's signature drizzle, painting the city in shades of gray. Olivia stood before the mirror in her tiny apartment bathroom, adjusting her best blazer for the third time. Her grandmother, Rose, sat at the kitchen table humming an old song while playing with colorful puzzle pieces. You look beautiful, dear, Rose said suddenly, her lucid moments becoming increasingly rare. Are you going somewhere special? Just work. Grandma Rose, Olivia replied softly, kissing her grandmother's forehead. Mrs. Patterson will be here soon to stay with you? Work is important, Rose nodded sagely. But don't forget to let yourself. Be happy to. Those words echoed in Olivia's mind as she rode the elevator to the 42nd floor. The executive level felt different from her usual workspace, everything polished and expensive. She found Damien's office and knocked hesitantly. "Come in," his deep voice called from inside. Damien stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, already dressed in an impeccably tailored charcoal suit. When he turned to greet her, Olivia noticed something had changed in his expression since Friday. The harsh lines around his eyes seemed softer, more approachable. "Good morning, Olivia. Ready for your first day?" "As ready as I'll ever be," she replied, trying to project confidence she didn't entirely feel. "Excellent. First, let's get you properly equipped." He gestured to a sleek new laptop and tablet sitting on the conference table. "These are yours. I've also arranged for you to have access to all our strategic planning databases." Olivia's eyes widened. The technology before her was worth more than she made in 6 months. "This is too generous, Damien. It's an investment in your success," he said simply. "Now, let's dive into the Nexus AI situation. I want you to prepare a complete analysis of those patents you mentioned." For the next several hours they worked, side by side, reviewing documents and building strategy frameworks. Olivia found herself amazed by Damien's brilliant mind and his ability to see connections across different markets and technologies. He, in turn, was impressed by her fresh perspective and intuitive understanding of complex business relationships. "You have a gift for this," Damien observed as Olivia presented her preliminary findings. "Your analysis of the patent timeline could accelerate our AI development by 18 months. "I just see patterns differently than most people," Olivia replied modestly. "Maybe because I've always had to make the most of limited resources. That's exactly why your perspective is valuable. My executives think with abundance. You think with efficiency." Their conversation was interrupted by a sharp knock on the door. Victoria Sterling, the company's chief strategy officer, entered without waiting for permission. She was a striking woman in her early 30s, impeccably dressed and radiating the confidence that came from wealth and privilege. "Damien, I need to discuss the Nexus acquisition," Victoria announced, then noticed Olivia. "Oh, I didn't realize you had an assistant in here." "Victoria, meet Olivia Reed, our new strategic analyst," Damien introduced. "She's leading the Nexus AI project." Victoria's perfectly sculpted eyebrows rose in surprise. "Interesting. I wasn't aware we were hiring at that level without consulting the executive committee." "It was my decision," Damien replied firmly. "Olivia has already identified critical insights that our previous analysis missed." "I see." Victoria's smile was polite but cold as she studied Olivia. "Well, I'm sure she'll be a valuable addition to the team. Perhaps we could schedule a proper orientation meeting." "That won't be necessary. Olivia reports directly to me." After Victoria left, Olivia felt uncomfortable tension in the air. "She doesn't like me," she observed quietly. "Victoria doesn't like anyone she perceives as competition," Damien replied. "Don't let it concern you. Your work speaks for itself." But as the week progressed, Olivia discovered that Victoria wasn't her only challenge. Word of her sudden promotion had spread quickly through the company, generating whispers and speculation in every department. "Did you hear about the new girl working directly with Cross?" She overheard 2 executives discussing in the coffee area. "Amazing how quickly you can climb the corporate ladder when you have the right connections," another voice added with obvious implication. Olivia's cheeks burned with embarrassment, but she forced herself to focus on her work. She would prove her worth through results, not by defending herself against gossip. Her dedication didn't go unnoticed by Damien. He began staying later in the office partly to review her progress, but increasingly just to enjoy her company. Their working relationship was evolving into something deeper, though neither was ready to acknowledge it openly. "You don't have to stay so late every night," Olivia said one Thursday evening as they wrapped up another productive session. "I can handle the research independently." "I know you can," Damien replied, loosening his tie. "But I enjoy our collaboration. You challenge my thinking in ways I haven't experienced before." "Is that good or bad?" she asked with a slight smile. "It's very good." His gaze lingered on her face a moment longer than strictly professional. Olivia, can I ask you something personal? Of course. Do you ever regret the sacrifices you've made for your grandmother? The opportunities you've given up? Olivia considered the question carefully. Sometimes I wonder what my life might have been like if I'd had different choices. But I don't. Regret loving someone enough to put their needs first. That kind of love makes you stronger, not weaker. I've never experienced that kind of love, Damien admitted quietly. My parents were always too busy building their empire to focus on family relationships. I learned early that emotional attachments were weaknesses to be avoided. That sounds lonely. It was practical, he corrected, but without conviction. Emotions complicate business decisions. Maybe, but they also make life worth living. Their eyes met across the conference table, and for a moment, the professional boundaries between them seemed to dissolve entirely. The air crackled with unspoken attraction and possibility. Damien's phone buzzed, breaking the spell. He glanced at the message and frowned. There's been an emergency at our Portland facility. I need to fly out tonight. Is everything okay? A server failure that's affecting 3 major clients? I'll probably be gone for several days. He paused, studying her face. All right, managing the Nexus project independently? Absolutely. I'll have a comprehensive report ready when you return. I know you will. He gathered his jacket and briefcase, then stopped at the door. Olivia? Yes? Be careful around Victoria. While I'm gone, she doesn't handle threats to her position well. After Damien left, Olivia worked alone in the quiet office, unaware that her problems were just beginning. Victoria had been watching their growing closeness with increasing concern, and Damien's absence provided the perfect opportunity to act. The next morning, Olivia arrived to find Victoria waiting in her temporary office with 2 other executives and a security guard. Olivia, we need to discuss some irregularities in your access to confidential documents, Victoria announced with false sympathy. What kind of irregularities? Olivia asked, her heart beginning to race. It appears you've been accessing files outside your authorized scope, including sensitive financial information about our acquisition targets. That's not true. I only access documents that Damien specifically assigns to me. I'm afraid we'll need to conduct a full investigation, Victoria continued smoothly. Until then, your access to company systems will be temporarily suspended. The security guard stepped forward. Miss Reed, I'll need your laptop and building access card. Olivia felt the room spinning as she realized what was happening. Without Damien there to protect her, Victoria was orchestrating her removal from the company. Worse, if these accusations became official, they could destroy her reputation and any chance of finding comparable employment elsewhere. This is a mistake, Olivia said firmly, even as she handed over her equipment. When Damien returns, he'll straighten this out. Of course, Victoria smiled coldly. I'm sure this is all just a misunderstanding. Take care, Olivia. As Olivia was escorted from the building, she felt her dreams crumbling around her. Without this job she couldn't afford her grandmother's care or their apartment. Everything she had worked for was slipping away, and the man who had promised her a chance at a better life was 300 miles away, unaware that her world was falling apart. But Victoria had underestimated both Olivia's resourcefulness and Damien's growing feelings for the woman who had brought light into his carefully controlled world. The game was far from over, and love had a way of fighting back when everything seemed lost. Meanwhile, in Portland, Damien found himself thinking about honey-colored eyes and warm smiles, even as he dealt with technical crises. For the first time in his life, business wasn't the only thing on his mind, and he was beginning to realize that some things were worth more than profit margins in corporate success. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test not just their professional relationship, but the depth of feelings neither was quite ready to admit they shared. The rain hammered against the windows of Olivia's small apartment as she sat at her grandmother's bedside. Holding Rose's frail hand, 3 days had passed since her humiliating escort from Cross Dynamics, and the weight of their uncertain future pressed down on her like a physical burden. The flowers are blooming beautifully this year, Rose whispered, her eyes focused on something only she could see. The dementia was getting worse, and without the company health insurance, Olivia couldn't afford the specialized care her grandmother desperately needed. Yes, Grandma Rose, they're beautiful, Olivia replied softly, tears threatening to spill. Over her phone buzzed with another message from the adult daycare center, politely but firmly requesting payment for services rendered. The stack of medical bills on her kitchen table had grown taller each day, each one a reminder of promises she might not be able to keep. A sharp knock at the door startled her from her worried thoughts. Through the peephole, she saw Damien standing. In the hallway, his usually perfect hair disheveled from the rain, his expensive suit soaked through. Her heart leaped and broke simultaneously at the sight of him. "Olivia, please, I know you're in there," his voice carried through the door. "We need to talk." She opened the door reluctantly, acutely aware of how she must look after 3 days of stress and worry. "What are you doing here, Damien?" "I came as soon as I got back from Portland and heard what happened." His gray eyes burned with anger, but she could tell it wasn't directed at her. "Victoria's accusations are completely false, and I intend to clear your name." "It doesn't matter anymore," Olivia said warily, stepping aside to let him in. "The damage is done. Even if you reinstate me, everyone will always wonder if I really deserve the position or if I was just your pet project." Damien stepped into the modest apartment, taking in the cozy but cramped space, the medical equipment in the corner, and the woman who had managed to turn this simple place into a warm home. This isn't about what other people think. This is about Victoria deliberately sabotaging you because she felt threatened. Why would she feel threatened by me? I'm nobody special. That's where you're wrong. Damien moved closer, his voice intense. You're brilliant, innovative, and you see solutions that nobody else can find. Victoria recognized your potential before I did, and she knew you would eventually surpass her. Olivia shook her head sadly. It doesn't matter now. I can't afford to fight corporate politics. I need to find another job immediately, something stable that offers health insurance. What if I told you that Victoria's scheme backfired? Damien asked, a slight smile playing at his lips. What if I told you that while she was busy trying to destroy you, she accidentally revealed her own corruption? What do you mean? I returned and investigated her claims against you. I discovered that Victoria has been embezzling funds from the Nexus AI project. She was skimming money meant for research and development, planning to blame any shortfalls on your supposed security breaches. Olivia's eyes widened. Can you prove it? Already have. The board terminated her this morning, and we've turned the evidence over to federal authorities. Damien's expression grew serious. Olivia, I want you to come back, not just to your analyst position, but as the new director of strategic development. Director? She gasped. Damien, I've only been working at that level for a week. And in that week, you've shown more insight and integrity than executives with decades of experience. He reached out to touch her hand gently. But more than that, I want you to come back because I can't imagine running this company without you. The sincerity in his voice made her heart race, but she forced herself to remain practical. Even if I wanted to accept, and even if the board approved such a rapid promotion, there would always be questions about our relationship. What relationship? He asked quietly. The question hung in the air between them, loaded with possibility and danger. Olivia felt her carefully constructed walls beginning to crumble under the intensity of his gaze. The relationship where I'm falling in love with my boss, she whispered, finally giving voice to the feelings she had been fighting for weeks. Damien's breath caught in his throat. Olivia, ... No, it's impossible, she continued, tears beginning to fall. I know we come from different worlds, and I know that admitting this probably ruins any chance I have of working with you professionally. But I can't pretend anymore that what I feel for you is just gratitude or professional admiration. Instead of responding with words, Damien closed the distance between them, cupping her face gently in his hands. Do you want to know what I realized? While I was in Portland? She nodded, unable to speak. I realized that all the success in the world means nothing if you don't have someone to share it with. I realized that you've changed me in ways I didn't think were possible. His thumbs brushed away her tears tenderly. Realized that I'm falling in love with you too. The kiss that followed was soft and tentative at first, then deeper as weeks of suppressed longing finally found expression. When they broke apart, both were breathing heavily, the weight of their confession settling around them like a protective cocoon. This complicates everything, Olivia murmured against his lips. The best things in life usually do, he replied. kissing her forehead gently. A soft sound from the bedroom reminded them that they weren't alone. Rose had awakened and was calling for Olivia with the confusion that often accompanied her lucid moments. "I should go to her," Olivia said reluctantly. "Can I meet her properly?" Damien asked. "If we're going to do this, if we're going to try to build something real together, I want to understand all the parts of your life." Olivia led him to the bedroom where Rose sat up in bed, looking small and fragile against the white pillows. "Grandma Rose, there's someone I'd like you to meet." Rose's faded blue eyes focused on Damien with surprising clarity. "You're the young man from Olivia's work," she said with certainty. "She talks about you quite a bit." "I do not," Olivia protested, blushing. "Oh, child, you light up like a Christmas tree whenever you mention his name."
Oh.
Rose smiled at Damien warmly. "Are you going to take care of my granddaughter?" "I'd like to try, if she let me," Damien replied honestly. "Good. She deserves someone who sees how special she is." Rose patted his hand with maternal affection. "But you should know that loving Olivia means accepting that I come as part of the package. We're a family." "I wouldn't have it any other way," Damien said, and meant it. Over the following weeks, their relationship blossomed, both personally and professionally. Olivia returned to Cross Dynamics as Director of Strategic Development, her promotion justified by her exceptional work on the Nexus AI project, the patents she had identified became the foundation for a revolutionary new artificial intelligence platform that positioned the company as an industry leader. The office gossip gradually shifted from skepticism to admiration as Olivia's results spoke for themselves. She implemented efficiency improvements that saved the company millions, while creating a more collaborative work environment that boosted morale across all departments. Damien, meanwhile, discovered that love didn't make him weak, as he had always feared. Instead, having Olivia by his side made him more confident, more creative, and more willing to take calculated risks that led to unprecedented growth. Their relationship faced challenges, certainly. Damien's social circle didn't immediately embrace Olivia, and some business associates questioned his judgment in mixing personal and professional relationships. But their love proved stronger than external pressure, built on a foundation of mutual respect, shared values, and genuine partnership. 6 months after their accidental meeting, Damien proposed to Olivia on the rooftop garden of Cross Dynamics. With the Seattle skyline sparkling around them like scattered diamonds, Rose, whose condition had stabilized thanks to excellent medical care, served as their witness with tears of joy streaming down her cheeks. "Are you sure about this?" asked, even as she said yes to his proposal. "Marrying your employee could create all kinds of complications." "Then I guess I'll have to promote you to partner," Damien replied with a grin. Cross and Reed Dynamics has a nice ring to it, don't you think? Their wedding was a simple but elegant affair, held in the garden where Damien had proposed. Rose walked Olivia down the aisle with the help of her walker, her dementia temporarily held at bay by the joy of the occasion. As they exchanged vows, promising to support each other's dreams while building new ones together. Both knew they had found something more valuable than any business success. Years later, Cross and Reed Dynamics had become one of the most innovative and employee-friendly companies in the tech industry. Olivia would often tell the story of their meeting two young professionals struggling to balance ambition with heart. She would remind them that the most important opportunities often came disguised as accidents, and that love didn't weaken your professional goals, but gave them deeper meaning. Damien had taught her that she deserved to dream big, while she had taught him that true success was measured not just in profit margins, but in the positive impact you had on the people around you. Together, they had built not just a business empire, but a love story that proved that sometimes the most unexpected encounters lead to the most extraordinary destinations. And in the quiet moments, when they stood together looking out at the city they had helped shape, both knew that their greatest achievement wasn't the company they had built or the fortune they had accumulated. It was the love they had chosen to nurture, despite all the reasons the world had given them to play. It's safe sometimes the best things in life really did begin with walking through the wrong door at exactly the right time.